Okay. Okay. So this is the first Film Buff Bros podcast, and we're going to talk about the new Super Mario Bros movie. So, yeah, it was basically like what I expected. I think I kind of expected it would be more directed toward adults and people who Mario was nostalgic for them, but quickly I realized that it was a movie for really young kids. I think it's probably for like the 5 to like 11 or 12 range of kids. And there is like a bunch of throwback things for adults to watch, for the parents of these kids to watch, such as like the music, do 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 do,
Yep.
things like that, and also the jumping around like it was a 2D game, like the original game, like when Donkey Kong and Mario are fighting. It's kind of like in a 2D kind of way. Obviously, it's 3D, but the whole like environment, obstacle course is set up like 2D as is when Mario's training, and then it got 3D when they're doing the Mario Kart thing, driving on the rainbow, which that was like I think the first Mario Kart came out for. I don't know if it was SNES, but I believe it was like that 3D kind of style, or for it was Nintendo 64. But yeah, it's
Well, the visuals were amazing. Visual effects outstanding. Um, that was probably one of the main things that I think everybody liked about it. But I think it was also for the fanboys, like you said, with the nods. But I think that someone who's not a huge fan would probably enjoy the movie too. Um, yeah, there was a shout out to I think Duck Hunt in there and Kid Icarus, and Luigi's ringtone was like the GameCube startup jingle. And of course, yeah, it was good to see Donkey Kong and all these other characters from the similar worlds. And you mentioned also like where's Yoshi, and that's like I've heard rumors that Yoshi's going to be in the sequel because yeah, that was one of the things I was looking for. Was pacing editing of it was really good. I thought too. Like
yeah,
it was like a tight 80 minutes that didn't
yeah,
lag in any parts. Yes, it was simple. The story was very simple, but I think for one of the first video games ever, which was pretty simple, that that it worked well. And again, I think the visuals is the big feat. Like the crew who like made that animation or visual effects, digital animation, like hats off to them for sure.
yeah. I liked the environments. Like I thought that the Mushroom World was trippy, and like what was the other? I guess it was. I guess it was the Mushroom World. I thought it was borderline like psychedelic, and
Yeah.
yeah, all of the environments I liked a lot. And even when they were in the water, I thought the water looked like real water. But the characters, obviously, they were all super simplified, which makes sense because it's basing it off of like low resolution video games. Some things I didn't like was I thought that Chris Pratt's Italian accent or New York accent came and went a lot, and it wasn't really there. I thought they should have got like professional voice actors to do it. I think it was Charlie Day
Yeah.
did Luigi. I thought he did pretty good. I thought the princess was a little stilted. Her voice, it kind of sounded like a second table read, like it was almost like
Yeah.
she's just reading the lines.
Yeah.
I thought Seth Rogen was not good. It's just I honestly enjoy his work as an actor,
Yeah.
but he just sounded like Seth Rogen. It didn't
Yeah.
sound like animalistic at all. Like he
Yeah.
brought nothing like unique to it. Whereas like Jack Black, at first I didn't really like him. I didn't think it was monstrous enough. But as the movie progressed, I thought it was like it's pretty much like perfect for that like genre, like he's like the kids genre. It's not super scary, kind of comical at some points. And what was the other one? The guy who plays Cranky Kong, Donkey Kong's dad.
Yeah.
I think that guy's from Portlandia, the show Portlandia, and I thought that he didn't sound like an old guy. He has like a really long white beard.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just don't think that he sounded like an ape at all, or sounded like an old person. So I thought a lot. I think they were just casting people who were possibly friends with people who were making the movie, or people who showed interest. But yeah, like especially for something that is for like an animate, not animate, a CGI movie, is you need to have like really good voices, and I thought they totally missed the mark there. Other than Charlie Day, I thought he was good.
Yeah.
And honestly, Chris Pratt wasn't like the worst. Like it was just kind of weird. It was his was all right. His maybe was like second best. Seth Rogen probably the worst. No, maybe the princess was the worst, because she was so stilted. But I don't know. Sometimes when they are stilted, it's like because they know it's tailored towards kids, and they know they don't have to kind of like develop the character, right? It's like, oh, she's a princess, like she's a brave princess, so she speaks in like a assertive kind of way, right? Like in an elegant way as well.
Yeah, for sure. For the age group, I think there, and plus the budget, like the budget that it must have cost to do those special effects, those visual effects. And that was another thing I was going to say is the music and the score. Like to me, it just felt like they had run out of money with all the visual effects, and yeah, a big name like Jack Black, who's got he's got experience in voiceover. And I think even Pratt had a little bit, and I really like Charlie Day. I think he's one of the funniest guys. But yeah, I felt it was flat as far as him and and Chris Pratt's character and the princess. And yeah, Jack Black was the guy who actually sounded like a voice actor. Like I guess I went into it kind of comparing, but I was thinking Robin Williams. Like, what would Robin Williams? We saw him in Aladdin, and we saw him.
Yeah,
like he was one of the greatest voice actors. So maybe I shouldn't be comparing these guys to him, but there was definitely some parts in the film where you kind of saw where they must have spent an enormous amount of money on those visual effects, and it's understandable. They're going to promote the film, they put the money in what they want, and then they not cut corners, but they the budget is much less for things like score and acting, because they're big names anyway. Chris Pratt's going to pull people. Charlie, whether they do a Oscar-worthy voice acting performance, it's more just the star power, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it maybe like helps with like the building up of the movie, promoting the movie. Like, oh, Chris Pratt's going to be in it. Jack Black's going to be in it, but I don't think it was even necessary. I mean, like Mario is such a giant franchise that they would have been better off just getting, I don't know about random people, but maybe be a little more selective. Yeah, it's Robin Williams, super high bar, and unfortunately he's not around to be a part of it anymore. But I think they're, not off the top of my head, but they're like, I don't know, like Christian Bale could have been I want to say King Koopa, but Bowser, he could have like done that role. Maybe he would have done it too darkly. I don't know, but I think they could have done some better casting choices, I think. Yeah. So you thought there was some wokeness in it. I didn't really detect wokeness in it. Like definitely the princess, they added more depth to her character opposed to just being a damsel in distress. Like she's there's more backstory to her character, and she teaches Mario how to adapt to the new realm that he's in, which makes sense because she's there before him. And there's times where she's saving Mario and Luigi, and it's a back and forth of them saving each other opposed to just her being a damsel in distress. And clearly that is part of an agenda to change, to be progressive or whatever, and I guess give little girls inspirations that they can be more than just a damsel in distress. But in comparison to some other woke stuff that like Disney has been doing, it's like nowhere near that that level of just like bashing capitalism and America and white people and men. It was nowhere near, because I heard that John Leguizamo didn't want to have anything to do with it, or wasn't going to go watch it or something like that because he thought it was so woke. And I was like, I didn't detect like a gross level of wokeness.
Yeah, no. Again, I took a step back. At first, I went into it with low expectations and almost a negative outlook, not expecting much. And then, as I watched it, and as I took pause after and thought about it, yeah, there's, like I said, we mentioned a lot of the good stuff, but yeah, I did kind of initially. I think it was maybe the first couple scenes with the princess. Just again, it just seemed a little edging on preachy and kind of over exaggerating characters a little bit, but as it went on, it wasn't to the point where I kept note of it and and it bugged me or anything like that. But I just felt that there was definitely some parts, as there is in most movies these days, that I guess I'm just more sensitive to it, and which is actually kind of going against the whole thing, but it's a simple plot line. It was made, like you said, for 5 and 8 year olds, and so no, I think the wokeness wasn't anything that I would say is no reason to go watch the film for sure.
Yeah. I thought that I did mention the music a little bit, how they're bringing in like some of the old jingles from the original sure. Console video games. Yep. But also the scoring, I thought, was they had like regular orchestral scoring in it too, which I thought was appropriately used. So we were saying the music, Thunderstruck, that was cool. Aha, that Take On Me, Beastie Boys. Yeah, so it was cool to hear those songs. I enjoyed that. I thought that was cool that they incorporated those songs into it. I think there's a suitable level of conflict for a kids movie. Like it actually had captivated my interest. The story and the moments of turmoil when the heroes, protagonists are in peril. It actually. I actually was feeling some suspense, some exhilaration. So I actually liked it. I had super low expectations going into it, and as it began, I was like, ugh, like oh my gosh, this is so for kids. But as it progressed, I started to enjoy it more. And another aspect, I think you were laughing at that little blue star character. I thought it was Kirby, but he kept saying all these like nihilistic and philosophical things when they're locked in the cages. And I thought he was a cool little juxtaposition, something like for adults.
Yes.
Total juxtaposition, just like kind of out of left field, him saying these things, right? So I enjoyed that, and I will go see the next one for sure too. Yeah.
Yep. No, again, that editing and pacing goes a long way in creating those feelings and those moods, I think.
Yeah, totally.
So that combined with the visuals and great editing, I would say it was a worthy film to watch, and I'd probably go see the second one as well.
Yeah. So would you give it, if we both get 2 thumbs, or let's say stars, how many is it a turkey? Remember the old book that you had?
Turkey, I remember.
Yeah. Is it a turkey? Is it 1 star, 2 star, or I know it's not a 5-star for you.
I'd say not a turkey. It's a pheasant. It's a
pheasant.
A pleasant pheasant.
A pleasant pheasant. I would give it a 3.5. Honestly, yeah, that's fair. Like if Jaws is a 5 and American Psycho is a 6, but when we're talking about out of 5 stars, yeah, okay, American Psycho is a 5, Aliens is a 5. Jaws is a 5. I'd give it a 3.5 for what it is, right? Like if it was supposed to be purely for adults or for teenagers, something like that, I'd give it lower. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm kind of anxiously awaiting the release of the next one.
Yeah. Right on.
All right, so that's it for the first episode of our podcast. Like and subscribe, and make sure you comment in the section, because that helps the YouTube algorithms get us to know what you guys like, and so we can make more stuff like this for you.
Right on.
Alrighty, boom.